Alright guys, I'm going to redo this swing arm because it looks like absolute ass. You can see the dude spray painted this on the bike because on the bottom you can see the runs. He probably spray painted over dirt and everything. It's like multicolored, red, black, silver. It really looks bad. The bearings are shot. This is a chain roller. Believe it or not, it's just completely fried. The chain slide down back here was completely fried also. So we're going to put all new bearings in it. I'm going to clean everything up and we're going to paint it. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is get these old crappy bearings out. So there's a sleeve inside here we're going to pull out, and then we'll be able to knock the bearings out. Alright, so I pulled my sleeve out, and you can see there's little pins in here. Those are the roller bearings. And as soon as I pulled it out, a bunch of them fell out. They were worn pretty bad. And now what we're going to do, these things can be a pain in the ass to knock out. So you want to try to get something that's about the same circumference as the inner race of the bearing. So I have just an extension here, and we're going to push it in here if it will let me. And you want to get it right on the inner edge of the bearing on the other side, and we're going to try to tap it through. If that doesn't work, we can try heating it with a torch. Sometimes that'll break them loose, and then you can tap them through. And if all else fails, you can actually make a little cut in the bearing with a saw, and that'll relieve the pressure and you'll be able to pull it out. Well, let's see if we can knock it out first. So these bearings came out pretty easily. You might find that yours aren't coming out quite as easy as that. And it's really important that you use a tool that's suited for the job. Before I started filming, I actually tried knocking the bearings out with a flathead screwdriver, and I was pounding away on them, and they just were not budging, and I thought for sure these were gonna just be a bitch to get out. But using something like this, these are the new bearings here, but this tool is almost the same size as the bearing. So when I put this in there inside the bearing and tapped on it, a big portion of this rim was had contact with the inner race of the bearing, which just helps a lot when you're smashing on it, and it made the job really easy. So keep that in mind the next time you're changing your bearings in your swing arm. So now that we got our bearings out of our swing arm, I'm going to clean it up, hit it with some stripper, get some of this old shitty paint off. There's a little rubber bushing in here that I'm going to pop out so we can paint it, and then I'll sand it up and get it ready for paint. Hopefully we'll get it painted tonight. So I have our anti-spray paint just in liquid form. This is all painted up. You can see paint just comes right off. Some of these places it's peeling right up, and you can see our bare metal under there. So we got a lot of our paint off with the stripper. This is what it looks like now. So there's a good amount of paint still on there, and it's okay. We can sand that and paint over it, And the reason that we did the stripper in the first place is to get all that spray paint and stuff off, stuff that doesn't have a good bond, because we want our finish that we're painting on, if it has loose paint and stuff that will prevent the paint from bonding to the metal or the part, then we can paint over it and it'll look great and all, but there's going to be spots that are going to wear quicker and paint's going to come off sooner because there wasn't a good bond. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take a wire wheel, throw it in the drill, and we're going to go over everything, try to get in these grooves and all. I've got a tiny wire wheel here too, so we can get in here. And we're just going to get off any of the remaining paint that's loose, and this will also rough up the surface. And then we'll run over it with some sandpaper, and we'll be ready to paint. Alright, I have this all wire wheeled down. We're down to the bare metal. I noticed right here and here, looks like there was some kind of like a bracket or something that went there. It was probably just a stay for a cable. So I'm gonna get rid of these two welds, smooth them out. They look like they were never there. Alright, so I got my makeshift custom paint booth here. Swing arms all stripped clean and ready to go. Throw a primer on there. Put 3 coats of white and then 2 coats of clear. Be good to go. So I got my paints warming up here in front of our space heater. Just a quick tip, I chose a darker brown primer for the white paint, and the reason you do that is so when you put your primer on there, then when you go to put your lighter color on top, you'll be able to see the spots you missed. If you use like a real light primer, like white or even gray, it's going to be harder to see the areas that you hit. So if you're painting with dark colors, you use light primer, and if you use a lighter color, you're going to use a darker primer. Alright, so there she is. Came out really nice. So we're going to take our roller bearings here and pop them in. So I'm just gonna hit this with the wire wheel real quick and get the paint off, only because once this is on there, it's gonna be spinning. It's just gonna rub that paint off, and it might get clumpy in there and cause it to get locked up, not work as smooth. So we'll just take that paint right off real quick. Now these cup seals go on the end of your swing arm like this. I like to throw just a thin coating of grease inside these keeps them from dry rotting and makes a nice seal. But these you want to put on, you have to keep these on there because this is going to keep any kind of like dust and dirt and water out of your bearings, keep them from rusting and running the grease out of there. So we have all our seals on there. I threw a zip tie in here so that we don't lose any of our seals or end caps. Now we're going to throw our little rubber grommet bumper back in here. And an easy way to do that, because these are pretty tough sometimes, is you soap it up. So shoot it with some Windex. Put a little bit of Windex in the hole there, and you push in this little hole right here. Get like a punch or something. Nothing sharp, otherwise it's going to poke through. But that's what that hole is for, so that you can push this rubber grommet in there and it should pop right in. Now we'll throw our chain guide on. Alright guys, so this swing arm is all ready to rock and roll. Got my new chain guide on here, new chain roller, new bearings, new pin in there, new seals. Got our grommet back in here. There's our carrier. I'm going to have another video that shows how I got it looking like that. Once this is all together, it's going to look really nice. I didn't tighten up these bolts here on our chain slider, only because the paint's not 100% dry yet. Probably wait until everything's back together, and then I'll tighten them down when the paint has some time to cure. But yeah, so now I can wrap it up in some newspaper and tuck it away until it's ready to go on. That way it won't get scratched up or anything.